All right, all right. How is everyone doing tonight? Good? Good. Good. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming. I'm your host for the night. My name is Robert Doe, and I'm the owner and a broker here at Berkshire Hathaway and Elite Mortgage and Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. And I wanted to thank you for coming and introducing this company to you. I am going to be the host, but I'm not your presenter for tonight because the person who's going to be presenting for you tonight is the president of our company. And you're going to have yourself a treat because you're going to be listening to one of the top people I've ever had in the mortgage industry. Now, the reason you're here is we have two purposes. We have a career night tonight. And at the same time, for the people who are already in my company, my loan officers and my managers, I'm going to be doing a training for them next door. So in a minute here, if this is your first time in the presentation, you'll be staying right here. So don't follow us to the next room. Even though this room has a lot of my managers and loan officers in here, in a minute here, I'm going to ask all the people who are already in our company, we're just going to do some training. So that means that everyone else, you guys get some really intimate private time with our president, okay? And he's going to be sharing with you two major things that we wanted to share with everyone who's going to be coming to Career Night. Is number one, this is a wonderful industry. I've been in this industry for a lot of years. I think it's been 20-something years. I see some faces that have been with me for 20-something years or a lot of years too. I mean, how many years have I known you, Gus?
Probably 18, 19 years.
18, 19 years. Gus used to be my right-hand man. He was my recruiter for me a long time ago when I was Coldwell Banker. And I have a lot of agents here that have been with me for even more years than that. And the thing is that the reason why I've had people working for our firm for so long is because we're very good at what we do and very honest, and we take care of our people really, really well. Okay, and tonight you're going to learn something about us. Is that when you're here tonight, you're going to learn about two things. Number one, how to get into the mortgage industry and why it's a good industry to be in. All right, the mortgage industry is simply money, but believe it or not, a lot of people need it. And because a lot of people need it, we're the ones that help people get it. We help the people that super qualify get it, but we also help the people that don't qualify as much. We also help them too. We help our great military vets with the VA loans. We help the people who don't have a lot get the FHA loans. We help the people that have higher rates get really low rates. And in turn, we help them with their families. We're like, there's doctors out there, but then we're the family's doctor when it comes to putting a roof over people's heads. So we're really excited about that. And tonight, you're going to learn about getting into this industry. Now, if you're new and you're stuck in the back, please feel free and come on in. You guys are good? Are you guys new? Then please come on in. All right? Please make your way in. Okay. So we're really excited about showing you the opportunity of being in the industry, okay? But there's something that makes our company very special too. All right? And what makes our company very special is as we're talking to you tonight about getting into the mortgage industry, I'm telling you, the mortgage industry is great. It's great because you can help a lot of people, but I think the income is pretty great too. We have a system in our company that trains people how to become true professionals. We're not looking for people who aren't very serious about getting into the industry. So how we train you is not uncommon for our top people to close 15, 20, 25 loans a month. Like that Michelin star chef, Gordon Ramsay, if you're in Hell's Kitchen, he's going to show you how to make a dish. And if you follow every step to the T, chances are you're going to have a pretty decent dish. If you don't, there's nothing I can do for you, okay? So you're looking to make good income. We have a very good recipe at our company. We can't be the in-house for Berkshire Hathaway if we're not good at what we do. And our loan officers are the best. So if you're thinking of trying to become a great loan officer in a great company, in a great industry, you've chosen the right place. That's number one we're going to be talking to you about. But number two, we're going to be talking about more than just becoming a loan officer here. See, one of the things that makes us very unique in our company is that there is something beyond the day that you become a top producing loan officer, and it's called ownership. You know, I teach our people to diversify, okay? And when I'm teaching you how to diversify, there's one day where you're gonna say, you know, I don't have the energy, I don't have the health to go out there and be a loan officer for the rest of my life. Even though the money's great, you know, I don't have the health to be the loan officer for the rest of my life. So another thing that we're gonna be talking to you about is that maybe one day you might want to wear the same exact hat I'm wearing one day. You know what hat that is? That's a hat of the owner. You know, I was just very fortunate that in my life, I started wearing that hat at a very young age. See, I started wearing the hat of the owner when I was literally, oh, that's not me, okay? When I was literally 20 years old. You know, I got into real estate very early, and I liked it so much that at the age of 20, I decided to be the founder of my own company. I started this little real estate company called Allstate Homes with 3 people, named me, myself, and I. I wanted to seem like I was big, even though I was just by myself in this little tiny little office right there in the corner. And over the last 20-some years, I've built this organization. And so one of the things that at our company we try to pass on, you know, some of the people here, older, experienced in life, have seen it all. And some of the people in here are barely 18 years old and haven't seen anything yet. But I love that. I love to be able to share this opportunity with people that are from all different ages because, man, I was a founder of my own company when I was 20. I've known some of these people since we were all kids, and we grew up together in this business. You know, and so tonight we're going to talk to you about a second hat. The other hat is, in our company, how can we eventually help you become an owner with us? See, I own the Berkshire Hathaways, but I don't own Berkshire Hathaway itself. Berkshire Hathaway is an $800 billion company globally. Berkshire Hathaway has all types of companies. They own Geico, they own all types of companies. And all I do is I own a piece of it. I own a piece of the $800 billion company, but my piece is, I'm happy with my piece. I have close to 400 agents that work for our company, and I'm happy with my piece because you know why? Because my piece of the company that I own, every single time those 400 people do something, I make money. I don't just make money when I do something. Matter of fact, if you ask my wife, I don't do anything, really, you know, except for just run the company. And it's all the hardworking realtors and loan officers I have. It's when they work hard, I make money. Does it make sense? I just need to put a great roof over their head. And that's what I've been doing for 20-some years. My roof accounts, my roof supports, my roof, you know, manages. My roof provides all the answers that they need, and my roof pays. But every single time those 400-some people under my roof does anything, I make money. So one of the things that we train you as we're expanding our mortgage company nationwide is the fact that when you're with our company, you could wear our hat too. Does it make sense? So that for one time, hopefully in the future in your life, you can say, hey, I own something that I can leave to my family. So you know what? Both my sons are sitting in the room tonight. And both my sons are part of this. My older son has interned for me as a processor all these summers. Why? Because I need to show them the ins and outs of this business. So if there's something happened to dad, they just take it over. Because I'm proud of one thing. If something ever happens to dad, their income doesn't change. Does it make sense? If something ever happens to me, God forbid I'm in a car accident, God forbid I'm in a helicopter accident, okay? That my income doesn't change. All the buildings that I own, all the shopping centers I have, all the properties I have, all the assets I have that I've accumulated, all go to my kids. But I think the most valuable thing I could ever leave them is not my houses, not my buildings. You know what it is? It's my company. Because my company has steady income month in and month out for the last 27 years. Does that make sense? So when you're listening to our president tonight, listen for 2 things. Listen for the fact that we're going to help you become very successful in this business of loans. But then the second thing you're going to watch out for is look for a potential that you might see yourself one day standing in front of the room as the owner of your own piece of our company. Does that make sense? And hopefully, at the end of the night, it's worth it for you to be part of our group. Okay? So let me introduce you the gentleman who's going to be talking tonight. His name is Mr. Doug Ross, and he's the president of our company. You know, I handpicked him to be the president of our company is because our company, I've seen over 7,000 or 8,000 loan officers go through my doors over the past 20-some years. I used to be the owner of, or one of the founders of a company called Global One that we had thousands and thousands of loan officers. Remember that? Because you were part of it, right? Okay. And of all the loan officers that have ever gone through my doors, I'm totally honest in saying he's probably, if not the top one loan officer I've ever had, but at least one of the top 2 or 3 I've ever had in my company. And that's how good of a loan officer he is. So when I sort of handpicked him and asked him to be my partner in this, and he is a partner in this, you know, I wanted someone that is in the loan officer field. He's my Michael Jordan, and he's able to train all of you to become a piece of Michael Jordan as well. Does it make sense? All right? So he's going to be doing the presentation tonight for you. So please help me welcome up the president of our company, Mr. Doug Ross.
Thanks, man. All right. Hey, guys, you know what? Robert always says these nice things about me. You know, Robert is the CEO. He's the mastermind behind everything. He seems like he's 4 steps ahead every single part of this process. So I just want to recognize Robert for everything he does. We can give him a
Thank
round of
you.
applause. So for those of you who have already seen this, feel free to go next door where Robert's going to have advanced training for those who are already on board or maybe still thinking about coming on board. They want to continue to learn about all of the functionality behind the scenes, okay?
All
And
right.
for those of you who want to stay behind, please move up. It'd be nice to not have to yell quite as loud as I kind of share a few thoughts with you guys today. So we'll give everybody a minute to kind of clear out. Okay. So first off, I appreciate everybody taking a few minutes out of their busy lives, right, to sit down for a few minutes and talk a little bit about, you know, Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, maybe some of the opportunity there, right? I love talking about things that matter with people who care. Personal development is a huge part of my business, and I love the thrill you get of talking to people and just helping folks out. Okay, so what I want to break down tonight, as Robert said, is we want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a loan officer. Right? We got a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. How many of you guys are already an existing LO originating loans? All right, usually I get a good number. I know there's one of you. Raise your hand, right? So we got a lot of new folks, right? So I want to talk a little about the industry itself, right? What it means to be a loan officer, right? Some of the opportunity there. And then we'll get into Pacific Wholesale Mortgage and what all the excitement's about. So as I get into this, and as I'm talking today, I want you guys to keep in mind this concept that Robert's always talking about of wise effort, right? I lived my whole life thinking that as long as I worked hard enough, I'd always be successful, right? And that was just always what I had when I was always willing to outwork anybody else, right? But you see time and time again, 2 individuals, you know, working alongside each other, and they're working just as hard as each other, but one person's making 10 times more than the other person. So it's not just about working hard, right? It's about working smart. It's about looking at the return on investment that your efforts are getting you, right? It's about asking the question, how hard is my hard work working for me? And to invest your efforts where you're going to get the highest return, okay? And so real estate is no exception, right? So 90% of the wealthiest individuals in the United States, maybe the world, I'm not sure, got there using real estate as their vehicle. Right? Whether it was directly in the industry as a lender, right? Or maybe a realtor or a broker, or maybe just as an investor, right? Buying properties, right? Well, one of the reasons why this is such a lucrative industry to be a part of is because there's no cap to how much you can make, right? If you're a lawyer, if you're an engineer, if you have these titles, there's caps, right? There's going to be, you look at the industry, you see the top producer, and there's going to be a limit to how much they can make. And the difference in this industry is there's absolutely no ceiling. right? Your work ethic can take you as far as you'd like to go, okay? And lending is no exception, right? Lending is one of the $3 trillion industries of today, okay? So, make sure my clicker's working. All right. So, loan officers go by a lot of different names, right? So, you've heard of direct lender, right? You've heard of like mortgage loan officer, you've heard of mortgage consultant, right? You've heard of senior mortgage loan officer, right? All of these titles mean essentially the same thing. As loan officers, we are in the business of delivering money to clients in terms of financing to buy a house, right? That's essentially what it is we do, okay? Now, the nice thing about this industry is we're not out there selling beauty products, right? And we're not out there selling some kind of a luxury item, right? The product that we deal in, 80% of Americans require, right? Buying a house is the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your lifetime. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And 80% of us require some help. We require some financing from a bank, right? The desire to want to provide shelter for your family is universal, and 80% of people require us to get that done, right? So it's a needed industry, it's a needed product. Number two, it's a convenient product, right? You can sell this product from the comfort of your own home to virtually anyone, anywhere in the nation to which you're licensed, right? So you're not out there, you don't have this massive windshield time between sales call opportunities, right? And you're not out there showing clients houses all around town at 8 o'clock at night, right? Now, these are great industries, right? Being a realtor, I got a lot of friends in these industries, right? But the nice thing about being a mortgage loan officer is it's just so convenient to do. All you need is a computer connection, right? The internet, and a phone, and you can run your business, okay? So it's very convenient from that standpoint, okay? And I mean, just as an example, last year, my biggest producing year in my career, right? I worked from home the vast majority of the time, right? We had a baby, a very difficult baby, required a lot of hands-on, and I was able to be there for my family and support my wife and my other kids through that process, while still being able to produce the way I want to produce as a loan officer. Okay, it's difficult to do that in a lot of other industries. In a lot of other industries, dad's gone, right? He's out there working, right? But in this one, you get to be home too. Okay? So, a couple myths that I want to dispel about being a loan officer. I've heard all of these as we started kind of doing this thing. Okay, number one, a lot of people think you got to be really good at math. Okay, so a lot of people envision a loan officer sitting in a cube somewhere crunching numbers, right? So that is not the case. Okay, so as a loan officer, you are the sales side of bringing loans to the bank. So really, all you have to be is good with people, good with personalities, right? Now, you do go over numbers with clients, right? You will go over how much their payment's going to be. You will go over interest rates. But there are computer programs that you just plug all that information into, and they spit out all the numbers, right? So you're not out there hand calcing stuff with a calculator. The other myth that I hear is that you have to have lots of money to get started, okay? So we are not working with our own money as lenders, okay? We are working 100% with somebody else's funds, okay? So you don't need a lot of money to get started. You are just connecting people with the right bank. You are the project manager to make sure they get it and it gets done right. That's what you do. The other myth that I hear just recently is that it takes a super long time to be successful at it, okay? So I've only been doing this, I'm approaching 6 years, okay? So it doesn't take very long to become one of the top people in the industry if you know what you're doing, right? If you have the right system, if you're trained the right way, you can be very successful very quickly, okay? And having the right strategy, having the right recipe reduces that learning curve quite a bit, okay? So I want to dispel a couple of those myths. All right, so what do we sell? So like a car salesman sells cars as their product, our product as loan officers are loans, right? A 15-year fixed mortgage is a product, right? A 30-year fixed mortgage is another product, right? A 30-year loan for somebody that has a 800 plus credit score is a product, right? Someone who wants to buy a house but has no money saved and they need a down payment assistance program, that would be a product, right? So the products we deal in are loans. And you take those loans and you package them up and you call them different things, like the FHA 30-year fixed loan, the conventional 15-year fixed loan, right? The 5/1 ARM, the interest-only variable, right? These are all just different products that you have in your repertoire as a loan officer to offer people. Like a car salesman has these different car models they're offering. Okay? So just know that the products we offer are going to be loans. All right. So how do we get paid as a loan officer? So it's not an hourly position and it's not a salary position. Being a loan officer is a commission-based job. So when a client borrows money from a bank, right, the actual amount that they end up borrowing at the end of the day, you get a percentage of. The bank gets a certain percentage, and you as a loan officer get a slightly smaller percentage of that loan. Okay? So for example, if someone's buying a house for $500,000, they've been saving for a really long time, or they got $100,000 they're going to put down the house, how big's the loan? $400,000, right? So as a loan officer, so as the bank's going to get about 2 1/4. That's what a bank makes when they originate a loan. As a loan officer, you get 1 1/4. So when that loan closes, is what we call it. So when you try to get a loan, there's a 30-day escrow process, right? Whether you're doing a refinance or whether you're doing a purchase. And at the end of that process, when the bank sends the wire, everybody gets paid. Realtor gets paid, loan officer gets paid, right? And in this particular scenario, in this loan size, boom, you get $5,000 when that loan closes. Okay, that's an example of how you would get paid as a loan officer, right? And it can be a lot of fun being a loan officer, right? I enjoy problem solving. I like the type of sale we do in this industry. It feels more real, right? I feel like when people think sell, they think that you're trying to trick somebody into doing something, right? But in my industry, in this industry, right, you're making promises to people that you then need to deliver on, right? It's not like in the car industry where I make all these promises, you buy the car, I never see you again, right? I'm telling you I'm going to close. I'm telling you I'm going to call this many times. We're going to do it in this amount of time. And then I'm the guy that's going to deliver. So it feels authentic. It feels genuine because I'm the guy that's having to deliver on everything I'm promising people. And I like that. I really enjoy business-to-business deals because I get the chance to shine. And if I do a good enough job, you're going to send me another deal next time. And that's the motivation to create a lifelong client. Because believe it or not, if you do a good job, it's really not hard to grow your business. If you do a good job for a client, they're going to refer a friend or a family member, and when they want to refi in 2 or 3 years, they're going to come back to you. So it's really not hard to grow when you're doing it right. And if you do it really right, then you're going to grow really, really fast. Okay, so it's not too crazy difficult to be successful in this industry when you do it right. Okay, so income as a loan officer. So to kind of go over kind of the nitty-gritty of the income, right? So I have that example of the loan officer who gets paid when he closes a loan at a $400,000 loan size, $5,000, right? So if you do that every month, 1 loan a month, eventually when you get to the end of the year, you've just made $60,000 as a loan officer, as a severely underproducing loan officer, right? If you're closing 1 loan a month, we're having a special meeting, right, in my office. What's going on, right? There's something happening here because you're not connecting somewhere, right? Because this is not the kind of production we're looking for, okay? So 1 loan a month is kind of an underproducer. 2 loans a month is still kind of an underproducer. But if you manage to do 2 loans a month, at that loan size, you're already in the 6-figure range, okay? And usually loan officers will hit the 6-year range when they're doing it right in either year 1 or year 2, okay? Because you're starting to build this network of business partners that are going to start feeding you business, okay? Now, in our company, we don't train you on how to close 1 deal or 2 deals a month. We're training you on how to close 10 to 15 to 20 deals a month. Now, in order to do that, you've got to have the right strategy. As Robert said, you got to have the recipe, the game plan that tells you what to say, how to say it, when to say it, to make sure you're producing that kind of a result, right? You're not going to close 10 deals a month selling to your friends and your family, right? That's a great sphere of influence, and it's a great starting point. But if that's your end point as well, you're always going to be that onesie-twosie, right? You're going to have 2 loans here, 1 loan here, 3 years there, 3 loans there, month after month. But to produce at a higher level, you need to learn to become a business-to-business loan officer. And at PWM, we teach you how to sell to a CPA, right? How to sell to a divorce attorney, how to sell to a realtor who would be a power partner for us. You want to try and sell to people who are in front of people all day long who need loans, right? And it's just a system. When I started out in this industry, I was challenged to cold call 30 new realtors every single Monday. And when I call my 30 realtors, I get 3 appointments. And of those 3 appointments, I get 1 realtor that would say, maybe, sure, I'll try it, right? And so every week I'd get that 1 maybe. And after a year, I had 52 maybes. And when that maybe sends you a deal and you do a good job, you become their sometimes lender. Sure, you did a good job, we'll keep going, right? And as you keep deepening that relationship, eventually you become their always lender. I always use this guy. He's phenomenal. He takes great care of my clients. And if you have enough always realtors, you've got a thriving business that it's hard to keep up with. Okay? That's the secret. You just got to do a really good job and constantly be on the grind of creating new business relationships and doing a phenomenal job closing them. Okay? My last year, I closed out the year with 70 different realtors that I work with. Okay? And about half of those, I am their always. Okay? They're always going to use me because they know I'm going to do a good job. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to create a great experience for everybody. That kind of a business is hard to keep up with because there's so many leads. I feel like what we do is like we're gardeners. A lot of people liken it to like you're a hunter and you're going out every day and you're hunting down stuff, right? Reality is you're a gardener. You're planting seeds, right? Every time you start up a new business relationship. And over time, you're calling them every week, you're checking in, and you're just cultivating these seeds. And eventually they start to grow and they start to bear fruit. And if your garden's big enough, the harvest time's crazy, right? You're gonna have to hire help because you got so much you're trying to harvest, okay? That's the goal in this industry. You wanna grow big enough to have that kind of a problem, okay? So in this company, we're teaching you how to close like a top producer. We're giving you the game plan of what to say and how to structure your week to make sure that everything you do is intentional. Everything you say, every action you take is intentionally designed to create a specific outcome. That's how you gotta do it to play at a higher level, okay? It feels really good waking up January 1st and knowing that I've got 30 business partners that are gonna send me 10 deals that year. That's some kind of job security, right? To know that I've got a lot of power business partners that love me and are gonna send me business. That's where I want all of you guys to be. I want to train you guys on how to have those relationships to create some sense of job security where there isn't really a whole lot in the real estate industry. There's tons of money. There's not a ton of job security, right? So you make up by making a lot more. So fast forward to Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, right? How does it work, right? Where do we fit in with all the other lenders that are out there? Because there's a lot of them. So my partner, Robert, and I got together about a year ago, and we designed Pacific Wholesale Mortgage to be built around 4 different pillars. Okay? Pillar number 1 is we are a cloud-based online company, 100%. Pillar number 2 is we're a mortgage broker. Pillar number 3, we're kind of training snobs, right? We believe in the power of sharpening your saw as often as you can. And then number 4, ownership. Robert's talked about that, and I'm going to end off talking a little bit about that. So I want to kind of explore each one of these pillars. So pillar number 1 is that we are a cloud-based online company, right? You still see today so many banks out there, lenders, that have the giant brick and mortar, the fancy leases, right? But along with the lease and the big building comes what? Comes with paying the HVAC bill and the insurances. You got to fill the building with the phone systems and the copiers systems. You got to pay for the janitorial staff. There's this massive overhead that comes with this big brick and mortar, right? And all of that cost gets passed on to your client in terms of higher rates and higher fees on the product you're offering them. And then a couple of years ago, you had these online guys come out, right? Killing these big banks in terms of pricing. You can't touch their rates. One of the reasons, because they don't have the overhead. They don't have to pay all this staff and this overhead to keep up with, so they're able to offer a better deal, right? Now, at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, we're looking to become the Uber of lending, right? The Netflix of lending, the Airbnb of lending. And all that savings we create by avoiding the big overhead, we're passing along to our clients in terms of Darwin Air wholesale rates and fees. And all that savings we're creating, we're passing along to our employees in our ownership programs. So number 1, we are intentionally designed to be an online cloud-based company. Okay? Pillar number 2 is that we are a mortgage broker. How many of you guys are familiar with the difference between a direct lender and a mortgage broker? Anyone ever heard that before? Hey, we got somebody? I've got one person, right? So let's start by talking a little bit about that. Okay, so a mortgage broker, there's no limit to how many banks you can work with. Okay, a broker is designed to work with as many banks as they want. We currently work with over 50 different banks. Whereas a direct lender works for one. You're handcuffed to what that bank can offer. You can do it or you can't do it, right? You got an FHA option, you have one FHA option to choose from, right? Now, when I first started my career, and for the first 3 years in it, I worked as a direct lender. Okay, so I worked for one bank. And as such, I had kind of high rates. I didn't have a lot of options to choose from as a loan officer. Made my job a little harder. Didn't realize it at the time, but my job was a lot harder. But I still managed to grow my business, right? Because I believed in this concept of providing superior service, right? And I created that superior service as a high rate lender, believing in 4 things, right? These are the principles that helped me grow my business to be really big. Number 1, I believed in transparency with all my clients. Number 1 complaint in this industry is people feel like they were hit with a bunch of hidden fees and surprises when all is said and done. So being transparent with your clients is paramount. Number 2, I wanted to be accountable to my people. I want to be accountable to my sellers, my buyers, my listing agents to make sure, right, that I was going to pick up the phone, that I was going to say, I was going to do what I was saying, what I was promising. Number 3, great communication, right? We have structures in place to where you have regular communication with people that matter to make sure you're getting ahead of everything. People really appreciate that. When the lender stops picking up their phone, everybody gets nervous, right? So you got to pick up your phone, you got to get ahead of stuff. And number 4 is just outworking the competition. Like I said, I knew if I worked hard enough, I could get it done, right? Great success requires work. And anybody who says otherwise is trying to sell you something. Okay, you cannot drift your way to the top of the mountain. It's going to require some discipline and some work ethic. And I was willing to get the job done, to work a little later to make sure it got done and it got done right. Okay? So as I started down this business of creating this great experience and designing my business around these pillars, I grew to be pretty big. In fact, my 3rd year in the industry, I was making about 5 times what I was as a civil engineer, just from these pillars and trying to do the best job I could. Okay? But coming from the background I did as a civil engineer, we are very analytical. We are very bottom line driven. And I was having a really hard time closing my friends from school because what did they care about? They cared about the pricing. They cared about the rate. And I wasn't super competitive. And so while I was growing my business, I came to find that there are 3 types of clients out there in the industry today. You've got the type of client that just cares about service. They just want a good relationship. They want to feel connected to you, right? As long as you give them that, they're going to be super happy. I don't even know what rates are. You can quote them at 7%. They're like, oh, that sounds great, right? They don't really care, right? You've got the clients that only care about the price. And I talk to them all the time. Within like 2 seconds, what's your rate, man? I just need to know your fees, right? They don't care about all that relationship stuff, right? And then you've got the third that could go either way, right? You could convince them the price is great. You could convince them the service is amazing. Now, as a direct lender, I did really good with those that cared about service, and I got really good at convincing people that could go either way. But there was a third of this pie that I was not touching as a direct lender. I couldn't. Certain demographics, they want to negotiate the heck out of me, right? And I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't bring it together, right? Now, around the same time, I also came to realize that 90% of this great experience I was creating for my clients came from me. I was the guy picking up the phone, making the great pre-approvals, making sure everybody knew what was going on, staying in touch with clients, building value. My bank was doing none of that. All my bank did was underwrite a file in a decent turn time, make some disclosure docs, and get them to the client. I was doing 90% of this experience I was selling. And then towards the end of those 3 years, I lost a pre-approval to a local broker. It's actually these guys. It was a great couple. I really loved working with them. I was doing my Thursday pre-approval update call. Hey guys, how's the house hunt coming along? I was all excited. I got all this energy on the phone. And they're like, Doug, we got some bad news. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we went with someone else. I'm like, oh, really? What happened? They're like, well, dude's beating you by 0.5%, man. Like we can't overlook that. And so rather than getting mad, which is what I used to do, I ended up just getting curious, and I asked some questions. Well, who is this guy? Looks like he's local, right? I ended up calling the loan officer. His name's Michael Barnett. He's in this building, and kind of interviewed him about, hey, how are you guys able to do this kind of pricing, right? He's the guy that opened me up to the brokered world. In the brokered world, you have a whole different set of pricing. And I could not have anticipated how much my business would have exploded in a good way when I could go after this piece of the pie. When now I could capture all 3 types of clients. I could really be competitive. In fact, now I post my rates every week, right? Because I got really competitive rates. Okay? So we are brokers, and we're brokers for a reason, right? Being a mortgage broker, okay, look, I like this analogy, right? Being a direct lender is like working for Hyundai, right? So you're at Hyundai. Well, actually, yeah, let's go this first. Okay, so direct lender. Oh, I feel like I'm going to break this button. All right. So direct lender, you work for one bank. You have one set of guidelines. You typically have higher rates and fees. As a wholesale broker in comparison, right? There is no limit to how many banks you can work with. As such, you have a ton of flexibility in the products you have to offer. I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase, when the banks compete, the borrower wins. And as a broker, every single time you're pricing a loan, banks are competing for your business. That's what sucks about being a direct lender, because my rates go up one month, I'm just going to have high rates. So there's some months where SunWest is killing it. They're taking all my business because their rates are amazing. And then their rates get high one month, and I go over to United Wholesale because their rates are killing it this month, right? But you have freedom to switch. You can't just stay on, you don't have to stay on just one ship and ride it. Okay? So working for a direct lender is like working for let's say I work for a Hyundai. Hyundai's a great brand, by the way, guys, okay? I'm knocking Hyundai, right? But let's say that I work for Hyundai as a car salesman, and all I can sell is Hyundai. So I got this nice couple that comes in, they're like, Doug, we want a fast car. I'm like, oh man, you want the Hyundai Sonata. That thing is smoking fast, fastest thing on the road, right? And they're like, well, Doug, what about this brand Ferrari we've been looking into? I'm like, no. You don't want a Ferrari, right? You want the Hyundai Sonata. That's the way to go, right? See, the problem is, although I might have a great brand, one brand isn't going to be the best at everything. One brand isn't going to have the fastest car and the safest car and be the most affordable and the most luxurious, right? And have the #1 rated truck, van, SUV, motorcycle. It doesn't happen, right? The reality is that car brands, just like banks, do a couple things well, and everything else is just okay. So as a broker, you can take the good that bank has to offer, and you can leave all the rest, okay? So if you're looking for a fast lender, I got a great fast lender that's built for speed. I got a lender that can close it in 10 days. They're called United Wholesale Mortgage. They're phenomenal. You want the best rate out there? I've got these 3 guys over here that are built for pricing. Might take them a little longer to close it, right? But I'll get you the best rate. You got a borrower that's in the marijuana industry, for example, where you got this weird gray area where they can't really substantiate income or assets, right? We've got lenders that are designed to accommodate that kind of an income situation, okay? But the point is that the freedom you have as a broker to find the product that's going to accommodate the uniqueness of your borrower's situation is very powerful. And it's what makes this model superior to just only choosing from one bank. Okay? So we designed it to be a broker intentionally to have better pricing and to have better product selection. Okay? Third pillar. So pillar number 3 is we don't just want to give you access to all of the products you need to be successful, right? We want to give you the training on how to use these products to be success, to be great, right? To become something. We want to train you on how to effectively pre-approve somebody. We want to train you on how to effectively manage the escrow process as a loan officer to create a smooth close. We want to train you on how to build value to a business partner, to a client, to where they actually want to work with you. As I've said before, at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, we train you on how to be a business-to-business loan officer. We give you a system of how to do that. Our top producers are producing at a certain volume because they're doing things a certain way. They have a certain game plan they're following. And we share the game plan so that you can learn how to do it, right? And if you can follow the game plan, which we're designing for you, you can play at a pretty high level. There are loan officers locally in this area that are making well into the 7 figures, just as producing loan officers, okay? I wish that when I started out in this industry, I had somebody that had the level of success I wanted, and they were willing to say, hey, Doug, here's how I got here. Just do these things, follow these steps, and you'll get there too. I wish I had that. And at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, we want to hand that plan to you, right? We're big on training, online training, seminars, weekly in-person training, right? We want to give our loan officers all the tools they need and the training to be great, okay? So training's really, really big for us. All right, so pillar number 4, this is the last pillar, guys. All right, so pillar number 4 is ownership, right? I spent my whole career just focusing on just producing, right? Being a producing loan officer, was very happy with what I was making, right? But I never really owned anything, right? Interestingly enough, I spent my entire career convincing people that they need to own something, right? Buy a house, you gotta build some equity. You don't wanna rent for 20, for 30 years, turn around and have nothing to show for it. But that's what we do as loan officers, right? We go to work for a company, for somebody else's company, we produce, but all of our income is behind us. There's no residuals, there's no pension, there's no legacy you're leaving behind if something were to happen. Okay? So we don't just want to train you on how to produce in our company. We want to train you on how to build something for yourself. We want to train you on how to build a business within the business, right? And here's where I get the eye roll, right? The whole not another multi-level network marketing pyramid scheme, right? We've all had bad experiences with them, right? So first off, the pyramid structure in itself is not flawed, right? You'll find a pyramid structure in virtually any company in America, right? You're going to have producers at the bottom. You're going to have managers of those producers. You're going to have managers over those managers. Then you get into your different presidents, right? So you're always going to find that structure. The scheme is when there's nothing that's actually being sold of any value. The scheme is when you're just buying in to pay for the people above you, right? One of the reasons why network marketing has such a bad name is because most of the companies out there are not product driven and they're not customer focused, right? The product and the best interest of the customer are not necessarily the primary focus. And if you separated out the product from all of the memberships and the startup fees, the product is crazy expensive by itself, right? Most network marketing offers kind of a mediocre product that's 5 times the cost of what it should be. And the only way it makes sense is if you turn around and you get 6 more people to buy in with you. And that's when you break even. It's certainly not what we want to offer at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, right? So Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, here's how we've designed it, right? There are 3 things specifically that are going to separate us. Number 1, we still have our wholesale products. We're still a broker, and we're not charging our clients monthly memberships or startup fees to get along with us. You're going to get the same wholesale product with us as you would another competitive broker anywhere in the nation, right? So our products remain wholesale. We're not jacking up the price of our product because we're team building. Number 2, we're also going to pay the loan officer what a loan officer always traditionally makes. So that 1.25%, we're still paying out to our loan officers, and you would make that competitively in any other company you work for. You're not going to see a cut in your commission because we have a team building element. Okay? We're not going to take from our producers to give to our team builders. That's not the setup. Okay? So the money for the building element comes from management. So a bank usually makes about 0.5% of a loan. That's their percentage. That's their cut. And that percentage usually goes to pay for the buildings, the electricity, the HVAC, the insurances. It goes to pay management to get them to grow. So what we said, or we came up with, is we said, what if we take from the management bucket and we distributed it back to our team builders as an incentive to help us all grow together, right? Because if we grow big enough, we don't need that big management bucket. We really don't. If we got 1,000 loan officers running around, I need about 100th of what I normally make as a manager because I got such volume coming in. That was the strategy, right? And so the money comes from the company bucket. So the same loan amount, just to give you an idea of the numbers. So we got that $400,000 loan size, right? The company makes 2.25. Loan officer gets what the loan officer's always gotten, $5 grand, minus some E&O. The company gets the other percent. 0.25% goes to processing, you got to pay a processor. 0.25% goes to your tax withholdings, and 0.5% goes to management. That's the traditional setup, okay? So we're taking from this 0.5% bucket, and we're going to distribute it back to our team builders, okay? Because say what you want about multi-level, but these companies grow 10 times as fast as normal companies, right? You think multi-level, Amway comes to mind, right? Amway is an $8.8 billion company today. There's another network marketing company came out like 10 years ago named Nerium. They sell skincare products, right? Nerium went from being worth $0 to over $1 billion company in just 4 years. And they sold skin creams, right? There's something powerful when every employee has financial incentive to help us grow together. There's something powerful about that model. Robert said he's got almost 400 agents here in the building, and he's got 1 recruiter. Imagine if all 400 agents were all recruiters for the past year. How much bigger would Robert's shop be if that were the case? That's the power of MLM, right? And as long as you have a good product and you care about your clients, it's a good thing because of those incentives. So when the company gets to be, you have this EXP, right? You got EXP that came in, entered the real estate market, right? They weren't around 10 years ago, right? But they came in, they said, let's be a real estate brokerage, but let's incentivize our realtors to grow together. They went from 0 employees to just over 30,000 in just 10 years. One of the fastest growing real estate companies in America. It's massive. And they're one of the only ones that do MLM. Okay? So the model works. When you incentivize employees to grow, it works. So how does our model work? Okay, so I want to explain the comp plan so everybody gets it. Okay, there's a lot of numbers up here. I want to make sure it makes sense for everybody. I'm going to have an example. We're going to make sure this makes sense. Okay, so first off, it's important to understand when we talk levels, right? So if I recruit one person, or if I directly recruit 100 people, all those people are on my level 1. Okay? Now, if someone from my level 1, or people from my level 1 recruit somebody else, all those people are on my level 2, right? And you know, from our level 2 recruits, they become my level 3. Okay, that's how our levels are broken up. So what we say is, we say as an example, so I got my $400,000 loan size here, right? Loan officer makes us $5,000, company makes $2,000. So we say that as long as you've brought on one loan officer, just one loan officer, you get 17.5% of that loan officer's production from the company bucket till the day they retire. So whether they close 1 loan next month or 10 loans next month, you get 17.5% of everything they produce from that company bucket. So as an example, what's 17.5% of 2,000? It's $350. Okay? Now, if you recruit 5 loan officers who are just out there producing for our company, just producing away, you get 20% of the company bucket. So 20% of 2,000 is 400. And if you work your way down, if you add up all the percentages, when you recruit enough people directly, we end up giving it all back. We pay 100% back to our producers. Our builders. I had someone ask me, how do you expect to stay in business if you're paying it all back to your builders? Well, not everyone's going to grow 40 wide. Not everyone's going to do that, right? So we're going to make money along the journey, but when you make your destination, we're going to give it all back to you. That's the incentive, okay? So let's use an example to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Someone has a calculator. I'm going to need some numbers. All right, so let's say that I bring on 10 loan officers over the next 6 months. Just bringing in some meetings, right to be on level 1, and I bring on 10 loan officers. Okay, just an example. Imagine there's 10 of these, or I don't have to write hundreds of circles. All right, so let's say that 1 month, my 10 loan officers all close a deal for $400,000. So, according to the model, I get paid 17.5% of each one, so that's $350 a pop. So what's 350 times 10? 3,500. So that's how much I made in a month from my 10 loan officers who were all severely underproducing. 1 loan a month is pretty bad. I could have 1 loan officer that closes 10 deals in a month, and I make the same thing if the loan sizes are the same. Okay? So that's my level 1. So I go out, I recruit 10 people, I get my check for $3,500. Now, if they keep producing a loan a month, how much does that give me a year? What's that?
I'm guessing 350,000.
Calculator? No, not that much. Nobody's got a calculator. I feel like everyone's guessing. 42K. Okay, so I just made 42K from a team, just introducing. Now, I'm going to have my own production. I'm going to do my own thing, right? But because I introduced 10 loan officers, I got some extra income coming in. Okay? So now let's say I'm at level 2. Let's give it a year. So in a year, all of my 10 loan officers managed to go and do what I did. So they all managed to bring on 10 loan officers each. How many loan officers did that make on my level 2? 100 loan officers. So let's say that month, my 100 loan officers on my level 2 all close a deal for $400,000, right? So we're going to make 20% of 2,000, which is 400. So what's 400 times 100?
40,000.
40,000. So that month, I made $40,000 off my level 2. Now, all I did was recruit 10 people, right? And those people managed to do their thing over the next year. Now I'm a year and a half into this thing, right? This didn't happen overnight. But I just keep talking to people, introducing people. Eventually my team starts to grow. How much is 40,000 a year? Let's say that all my guys keep underproducing. Now you're going to have some loan officers that produce 0. You're going to have other loan officers that produce 10. You have other loan officers that produce 5. So we're just saying that you're busting out 100 loans on your second level. Okay? So what's 40,000 times 12? 480,000. So you're almost up to about $500,000, 480K, from your level 2. Now let's just go one more level, okay? So let's say that I'm a level 3. Let's say it takes 2 years. I'm just producing, I'm getting training, I'm popping out all my loans. But over time, my level 2 also managed to do what I did. Took them a long time, took them 2 years. But they also brought on 10 loan officers each. They're all over the place now, spread out. How many loan officers does that put on my level 3? 1,000. Now let's say that in 1 month, my 1,000 loan officers all close a deal for 400,000. Now, according to Company Bucket, what percentage do I make on my level 3? 12.5. So what's 12.5 of 2,000? 250. So what's 250 times 1,000? 250,000. So I make $250,000 off my 3rd level in a month because, again, I just gave it time. Now, all my butt did was recruit 10 people. And I just gave it time. And people just started bringing people on, and my team just started growing. Now, what's 250,000? If I kept that up each month, what would that be yearly? Anybody? I believe it's 3 million, yeah. So 3 million is what you brought in off your team, off your level 3. Now, I don't know if we have to go any deeper in this, but you get the concept, you get the idea. The wider you grow, the deeper you reach. Now, if I had a level 4 and they grew out huge and I was looking at the millions, can I touch my level 4 based on how many people I recruited on my level 1? How many people do I have to recruit to reach down 4 levels? I have to recruit 15 loan officers to access level 4. I have to recruit 20 directly to get 5, 25 for 6, and 40 for 7. I only recruited 10 people. So I can only reach 3 layers deep. So if I see on the company website that my team closed $1 million I could have accessed on my level 4, what do you think I'm going to go and do? I'm going to recruit 5 more people. You better believe I'm going to recruit 5 more people because I got millions of dollars on the line. Okay? That's the incentive. And the nice thing is, I'm making 17.5% of these guys, right? And my level 1's making 17.5% of these guys. So everybody's making percentages of everybody else, right? What I love about this model, this powerful comp plan, it's called unilateral, it's been around for a long time, is that first off, there's great financial opportunity here. But second off, there's a community, right? In lending, it's very cutthroat. You're going to get the deal or I'm going to get the deal. Even here in the office, right? We got our loan officers. That realtor's either going to send you the pre-approval or they're going to send me the pre-approval. So I win or you win. It's very cutthroat. This is one of the first concepts that actually says, what if we worked together and we won together? What if we all kind of banded together and we all made money off of each other as we grew together and continued to do a good job? This says community. This says Doug can take a vacation for a week, right? Because it's hard for me to do that when I'm getting 15 leads a day. It's hard for me to turn it off, right? And to have someone else I trust to take over my business. But if I've got a team of 15 great loan officers, all of a sudden I have a community of support. I have people I can turn to when I have a question, right? Now, as a company, we have an incredible training platform. But the other thing you have access to is your team, right? We just brought on a loan officer last week, and he brought over almost 20 loans when he came over. He's a big producer. He produces almost as much as I do. And everyone he brings on underneath him, he's going to be a mentor to. They're going to be able to turn to him and ask help because he wants to see them succeed. Because unlike any other lending model out there, he actually makes money when his team closes loans. That's different from anything else we see in the industry today. So this is our ownership model. This is our incentive to help us all grow together. Now I have a couple other examples that are kind of a little more conservative, right? Growing 10 wide, the numbers get crazy real fast, right? They blow up real quick, right? And not everyone's going to grow that way, right? So I've got another model here where what if I brought on 40 loan officers, right? Because that's the goal. When you bring on 40 loan officers, you can reach all 7 layers deep. So you want to bring on as wide as you can because that allows you to access deeper. So if I brought on 40 loan officers and following the model that every loan officer just doubles themselves. So give it enough time, and my 40 on my first level become 80, and my 80 become 160. So I'm doing a multiplier of 2 as I move down this comp plan chart. And you can see what you're making monthly from your team based on that same $400,000 loan size closing, right? Off my 40, I'm making 14 grand a month, right, which turns into 168,000 a year. Off my 80, I'm making another 32, which cumulatively is 46, which makes me 552 a year just off my level 2. And as you add the numbers up, you start to see the power of a team. You start to see the power of this community we grew. And this is a very conservative model. I got a lot of friends in MLM, and they said this is the model that most people get. You're usually going to double each layer with time, right? Because you're going to have people that don't want to grow, and that's fine. They don't want to build, they just want to produce. Please come aboard, right? And you're going to have people that grow out 40 just like you do, right? So it averages out to about 2 to 3 multiplier each level. So these are access to some of the numbers all the way down to the bottom where you're making 21 million a year when you grow your team wide enough. This is a multiplier of 2. I've got one more example where you grow out 40, and it's a multiplier of 3. Right? And you start to see the numbers and how much bigger they get as you grow down. Right? Now at the end of the day, on your 2 build out, you got about 2,500 loan officers on your team. Robert did this. My partner built Global One Lending about like 2003, I think. And in 6 years, he grew his company to 8,000 loan officers strong. And then what happened? The economy collapsed, right? And he didn't have the cloud-based model, so we had these fancy leases all over the nation. And when that market collapsed and he was overextended, the company went belly up. But before that, he had a company of 8,000. So how many people do you think had over 2,500 people on their team? Had a lot. But the people who grow to 2,500 started with him at the beginning. When you get these MLM companies and they're growing to 30,000 strong like EXP, you want to be employee number 500. You don't want to be employee number 29,998. Because the profit share, the crazy payouts, are for the people that get involved in the beginning. Because everybody that grows is somehow connected to you, right? Because you're involved from day one. Okay? So that's how our comp plan works. Okay? Any questions on the comp plan? I know sometimes when I turn over to questions, we go in weird directions, but specifically about the comp plan, do we have any questions? Because I'm going to probably answer everything else. We're not quite done. Does it make sense? The concept? The percentages? It gets a little harder because we equate closed loans to people, and if I have 40 loan officers, I have 40 closings. But please keep in mind that it's loans we're talking and not necessarily people, which adds another element in there. Because if you get a Doug on your team that's closing 30 a month, you just got overnight income. You just got this kind of income overnight with one producer. Okay, and then you got a lot of little small producers.
But do you have, on level 1, do you have to have like 10 people?
So you have to recruit at least one person, one loan officer, to get paid on the level 1. And then you got to bring on at least 5 to reach down to your level 2. And then it just jumps by 5s pretty much after that. Okay? So all you got to do is bring on one loan officer, and you get access to some of his. Well, yeah, I mean, no one makes any money until someone closes a loan, right? I can have 100 people on my team, but if no one does a loan, we have a problem.
So I have to find somebody like you to bring in?
Or you could bring on a loan officer that's closing 1 a month or 1 every other month, right? You can start small, right? Big producers like me require multiple meetings to come aboard. We brought on a lot of big producers this first 6 weeks, and we've had to meet with them 3 or 4 times, right? They have a big pipe. They want to make sure they got their questions answered, but eventually they come aboard. If nothing else, because there's nothing else out there that offers a team building incentive. There really isn't.
So they're going to be coming in with some big numbers.
That's what I was saying. Like when we onboarded Pitt, who was here earlier, he brought over 20 loans with him, instant. And so the person who introduced him to us got overnight income when all those closed. Okay, that's a powerful player for that person, and the person that brought on that person, and the person that brought on that person, because his production, everybody's getting payout on. Okay, so one loan officer can change everything. All right, so guys, for those of you who are like, you know what, I don't like multi-level, this makes me nervous, right? I got involved in the area, it wasn't a good experience, whatever, right? If you don't want to take advantage of team building, we would love for you to come aboard as just a producer. And we will show you how to be great. We will show you how to close at a high volume and make a great living for your family and not make a penny off team building. I get the complaint that I talk about team building a little too much, right? I want to make sure you guys understand, come originate for us, and you have access to superior training. It's going to help you be great, just as a producer, right? Producers are the backbone of our company. Producers are our lifeblood. So I want you to come aboard, even if you have zero interest in being a team. If you don't want to build your own team, just be a part of mine, right? I'd love to help you, train you, and then everyone above me will have access to your company bucket profits. We're not taking from your commissions, right? So come aboard as a producer and take advantage of a needed product, of a convenient product to sell in an industry that has no cap to how much you can make in a year, how much you can make in a month, how much you can make in a day, right? And we'll train you on how to be a top producer, right? And for those of you who catch the vision of ownership, right, who really want to be like, dude, this is a huge opportunity, right? I want to grow a team. I don't want to be the one swinging a hammer, right? And don't get me wrong, I love swinging a hammer, right? I swing a hammer every single day. I'm working 9, 10-hour days sometimes trying to keep up my pipe, right? And it feels really good to go to home at night being very tired. But if something happens to me, if, like Robert said, if I get in a car accident on my way to work, my pipeline dies out in like 2 months. 0 is what I have to show for it. But if you build a team, we actually have a vesting agreement that says, which family member do you want to pass this team along to if you pass? Right? Who do you want to get all these residuals? Because if I grow a team of 50 loan officers and I'm making 30, 40, 50 grand a month, I want that to go to my kids. I want that to go to my wife. I don't want them to be left with nothing. My dad retired from the state, and he had this pension that was great, right? Comfortable living for him and my mom. That was the plan. There is currently nothing out there like that in lending. This is your pension, right? This is your retirement plan, right? When I discovered the power of duplicating myself and how much easier it is to earn when there's 50 of you out there instead of just one, I discovered how much further I can go together versus by myself. How much further I can go when I have a team behind me. You increase your bandwidth, right? I learned that when I started bringing on assistants to my team, okay? I've never worked on this pillar of ownership until recently in my career, and I'm already starting to see the benefits, right? You get 5 or 6 loan officers and you see that check and you didn't have to do anything really. It's a powerful feeling. That's the difference between me and Robert that's standing over here, right? I'm a mad producer, right? But I work hard for every penny. And Robert makes money off every single deal that I close. And I've probably called him 4 times in the past 3 years with questions. That's how much he's really had to work with me, right? But he's making money. I'm making money for him because he's an owner of something. I am an owner of nothing. Everything I get, I have to scrape for. Okay? We're presenting an opportunity to not have to do that as hard. Now, I still want to teach you how to produce. Don't get me wrong. Please don't misinterpret my message. I want you guys to all be top producers. But I also want all of you to have 10 top producers under you who also grow teams. That's how we can succeed together. Okay? So what's next? Right? Sounds like a good idea, maybe something you're interested in. First and foremost, Robert said this, my main concern is quality. I come from a background of needing to provide really good service, okay? And our concern is, our goal was to have 100 loan officers year 1. That was our goal for 2020. We're 6 weeks in, and we already have over 70 signups. We have over 70 loan officers, half of which are brand new to the industry, that see the opportunity, and they're running to get their licenses. So what is that going to create? That's going to create this mass of amateurs that's starting up, right? And we are in the business of creating professionals, not a bunch of amateurs. I want there to be a standard level of service you can expect when you work with PWM. And the only way to do that is to have a very strong training platform, okay? Because the bar to get in this industry is very low, right? You have to do a 20-hour training course through the state of California. All they do is train you on how to pass the test and on rules and regulations. That's it. They don't train you on how to read a credit report. They don't train you on how to pre-approve somebody, right? As such, we want all of our employees to have access to a course we call Basic Building Blocks. Basic Building Blocks is going to be a 2-day seminar. All right. I had a slide there for Basic Building Blocks. All right. So Basic Building Blocks is a 2-day seminar. It's 8 hours on Saturday. It's 8 hours on Sunday. 16 hours total. During Basic Building Blocks, 10 hours of that training is going to be on how to be a loan officer, how to read a credit report, how to go through income, asset documentation, how to collect a 1003, a loan application. right? What are down payment assistance programs? What are they about? How do you get them? We want to train you on the basics. Now, the other 6 hours is going to be on top producer training, right? Top producer training. When I got in this industry after about a year, I wanted to get training from people who were producing the way I wanted to produce. And it cost thousands of dollars a month to get a top producer to sit down with you and give you some advice. It's incredibly expensive. We don't want the entry point to be that steep, which is why we want to give you access to top training without the price tag. So Basic Building Blocks is also going to have 6 hours of top training, or training on how to be a top producing loan officer. And after day 1, if Building Blocks isn't for you, we say drive home safe, no hard feelings, right? Full refund. But if you stay both days, you're in. You're in with us, we're going to see this through. Now, if you're already producing and closing 10, 15, 20 loans a month, like the Pit guy, we're going to have a management waiver. You may not have to go, right? If you already know what you're doing, and it shows you know what you're doing, you can interview with me, right? And I'll give you a waiver for Basic Building Blocks. But for everybody else, you're coming to the course. And you got to learn how to be a good loan officer. You got to learn about our company culture. Okay? So, 2 ways to come aboard. Way number 1. Oh, come on, click. Come aboard as a builder. So you either come aboard as a builder or you come aboard as a loan officer. If you come aboard as a builder, you do not need to get your license. Okay? In fact, most people are coming aboard as builders now while they go and get their license. Okay? As a builder, you do not need to get your license, right? Your goal is just to bring loan officers to these meetings to help them join the company. That's it. And once they join, you have access to this profit share model. Okay? That's the builder mentality. Now, you cannot solicit loans as a builder. If you solicit a loan as a builder, you'll be fired on the spot. Okay? That's a CFPB regulation. If you are not licensed as a loan officer, you cannot say, look at my rates, they're so amazing. You can't do that. It's a no-no. You get a big slap on the wrist. Okay? We could lose our license. Okay? So it's very clear. You do not solicit business. All you do is introduce loan officers to the company. That's all you're doing. And you're building your team. You're building your pension through doing that. Okay? You're going to come aboard as a private contractor. Our builders and our loan officers will attend Basic Building Blocks. It is $525 for that weekend seminar to get all the tools you need to be great. Not talking thousands of dollars a month here. There's also a startup package where you'll get your business cards as a builder, your name tags. We're going to get you set up in our powerful back office system that is going to track your team. It's going to track. We have a system that's transparent. So if somebody closes a loan, you're going to see how much you got paid in your e-wallet. You're going to see what the loan size was, what your percentage was, right? So you can track your entire team's production. It costs money to set up the system. Okay? Now, there's also going to be a software monthly access of $50 to manage that back office site. Right? We're using a big MLM system and they charge a lot monthly. Okay? Now, we are not going to charge you any monthly subscriptions until we officially launch as a company. And we are not launching until second quarter. So right now we're just getting people on board. We're rolling out the technology slowly. We want you guys to help us debug that technology so no one will be charged any sort of an access fee until after we launch and the software is a 10. Okay? That's a builder. Second way to come aboard is come aboard as a loan officer. Right? Got to get your license as a loan officer. To get your license, we have flyers of how to do so. You got to take a 20-hour course, a couple $100, and you got to take your state test. Right? You got to pass that test. Once you pass the test, you're in. Then you send your license over to us. You're ready to originate. Okay? As a loan officer, you're going to be hired as a W-2 employee. Right? Now, as a loan officer, you're also going to attend the same Basic Building Blocks. Everybody attends it. You're going to have a different startup package, which is going to have a different set of cards that actually have your NMLS ID number. It's going to say loan officer. It's not going to say builder. You're going to have your name tag, and you're also going to have a startup. We're starting up on our CRM. Okay? So for those of you who are not familiar with sales, a CRM is a database you use to manage all of your clients with. That's where you send email blasts. That's where you track your follow-up tasks. Okay? That's what your realtors use to access your flyers to get all your co-marketing material. As a loan officer, you need access to the most powerful database in the world, which is social media. So our CRM, we've partnered up with Realtor Turbo and some other programs to give all of our loan officers access to a CRM to allow them to originate loans. We don't want to bring people on that don't have access to anything. Our software access,
Sorry.
that's all right. So our software access is $100 a month. Again, no one's getting charged anything until we officially launch. But just so you guys know, if you're an active loan officer, you know this is a discount. Okay, I have Jungo as my CRM. It's $100 a month. I also have list reports, which all my realtors use to generate flyers. That's another $150. So I'm paying about $250 a month for my stuff. We're trying to get it at a discount so that everybody can have access to it. Because as a loan officer, you've got to have it. No realtor will want to work with you if you don't have flyers, if you don't have co-marketing stuff, if you can't generate an open house flyer. Okay, this is where you get all that. Okay, all right. So 2 ways to come aboard. Those are it. Now, I want to mention this, right? Disregard this 0.25%. We were supposed to have that removed, but it's still on there. So for those of you who want to be a loan officer, who want to get paid from the loan officer bucket, but don't necessarily want to stay as up to date in all the latest lending guidelines or down payment assistance overlays, right? We will have the option where, as a loan officer, you can collect an application from a client. You collect their documents, and you just turn it over to processing. And they price it for you. They find the selected product, and they can even take over the loan and close it for you. Okay? The reason why is because we have a lot of newer loan officers, right? I want them to lean heavily on processing to do the majority of the work until they learn and until they get good. I'd rather have 50 really experienced loan processors handling 1,000 loans than 1,000 new LOs. It'd be a nightmare. So we want you to use processing. It's an extra $300 or $600 per deal to have them pretty much take over. Okay? So that's more getting into the nitty-gritty, but we do have that option to alleviate some of the pressure off you having to know everything at the beginning. We want you to lean on processing. Okay? All right, so like I said already, we're not launching until 2020. You can still sign up. You can still come aboard. We currently have loan officers that are actively originating in our systems. But all the software and everything will be set up by April. Our first building blocks is going to be offered on March 28th. That's when the first one we're doing is kicking off. And I believe we're having a deal where if you attend the very first building blocks, because last time Robert did this, they were teaching building blocks every other week all over the country, then we will refund you the cost from your commissions on your, or we'll refund it to you after you close your first deal or something, right? So we're going to have some incentives there to make the first building blocks, okay? So that's pretty much all I had prepared, guys. I really like the quote that as people we're capable of accomplishing great things, but most of us will end up accomplishing in our lives is fairly disappointing. That's a Tony Robbins quote, right? I teach a lot of personal development, and I believe that we don't get what we want out of life. We get what we believe we deserve, right? And a lot of me and my progress in producing the way I produce is I had to overcome a lot of limiting belief systems about myself, about what I'm capable of, and it was surprisingly uncomfortable to do so, right? So we want to teach you how to have that better mindset, that winning mindset, by being around a culture of people who are succeeding, right? Because our mantra is that we succeed when you do, and the numbers show that. All right, guys, so I appreciate your time. Any questions or anything?
Good.
Go, let's start here.
Right before this one, you talked about the 300 or 600 for processing. So from what I'm understanding, if we become a loan officer and we get a loan, we can get processing within the house to help assist and complete that property, so we're not making a bunch of mistakes or
100%.
chasing off a potential realtor that we brought in or something.
So how you would sell that is I got this great team, right? I'm a little newer, but I have this very experienced team. So what I'll do is I'll take your application, I'll take your docs, and then we'll take it to my team. We'll figure out which program product's gonna have the best pricing, and we'll let you know, right? And then you just lean on them and you guys work together. 100% though.
And then you give like of the what is the loan?
Of the 5,000 payoff, you might pay $300 out of it, right?
600.
Or 600. So 300 is I'm handing it over to you. You do all this stuff. You just tell me what to ask my borrower for, and I'll ask him for it. 600 is here's the file. Tell me when it closes, right? I don't want any communication. You set up the relationship. I'm just in the background, right? I'm just making introductions.
That's a great way to kind of get off and running.
It is. That's what Robert did last time, and it really helped with all the new loan officers coming aboard because we had an option for them and we weren't seeing a bunch of mistakes. Even with all the training, it's going to take a couple go rounds for you to get good. Other question?
Another question.
All right. Yeah, in Robert's training, you'll learn more about that kind of thing. Okay, so that's kind of more the nuance behind it all. Al?
When's your next basic building blocks?
So the first basic building blocks, we're waiting till we want to get like 100 people and then just have big old basic building blocks, but it's going to be March 28th. Now you have to sign up before then to attend the building blocks, right? I'm not training loan officers who aren't working for my company. right? So you would need to sign up before then. You'll pay the $525 and the $150 startup package before you go, right? And then you get your cards and everything. You get all set up to get going.
On the day of the 28th or?
So the 28th, I believe, is a Saturday, and so it's going to be 8 hours on Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday. It's a whole weekend.
We pay when we get there
You would pay when you sign up, actually. So at this point, right, once questions are all done, you would go next door to the person who introduced you, right, and they can kind of show you where the new hire packets are if that's what you're interested in, right? And then you just sign up that way, and then there's like a some kind of a credit card payment option for that. Okay, so you would do that. But yeah, guys.
Is there a thing in the back?
So next door, go next door, and there's gonna be a new hire packet. So I'll show you. So come on, I'm here to answer questions afterwards. But yeah, we are a little over time. So feel free to see me afterwards, guys. But I super appreciate your time. Have a great evening. Thank you. Just out that door to the right, there's the new hire packets.